Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. I'd like to call the City of Homestead Community Redevelopment Agency meeting to order. Today is Tuesday, April 9th, 2024, and it is 5:15 p.m. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Board Member Roth? Here. Board Member Bailey? Board Member Cannavale? Board Member Davis?
Here.
Vice Chairman Fletcher?
Here.
Chairman Lawson?
Here. Okay, are there any, Madam Director, are there any deletions or deferrals for the agenda tonight?
No, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. All right, we have before us the minutes from our March 12th, 2024 board meeting. We have a motion to approve the minutes.
Move to approve. Second.
Moved by the Vice Chair, seconded by Board Member Roth. Any further questions or comments? All in favor? Any opposed? And let's let the record reflect that Board Member Avila has joined us. Next item is tab 2, card number 4206.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Tab 2 is a board of the Community Redevelopment Agency of the City of Homestead approving and authorizing an agreement with Garland DBS Inc. for roof replacement at CRC Plaza utilizing the MICPA number PW1925 Master Interlocal Cooperative Purchasing Agreement with Racine County, Wisconsin and Omnia Partners, Public Sector U.S. Communities pursuant to City Code Section 2-411.1A5, exemptions from competitive bidding, providing for implementation and providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Madam Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The roof at the old Edison building, also known as the future location of Chrome Marketplace, is in need of replacement. Garland DBS Inc. has quoted the project locally and will be using PSI Roofing to perform the roof replacement using the Master Intergovernmental Cooperative Purchasing Agreement, PW1925. The roof is 19,398 square feet and consists of 3 sections. The gypsum deck, which is 10,500 square feet, the wood deck, 3,213 square feet, and then the last unit is the concrete deck, and it is 5,685 square feet. The cost per square foot is approximately $40.46. An overview of the scope of work for each section is included in the attached staff memo. The fiscal impact for this project is $784,801, which is budgeted in the CRA budget from the capital outlay building improvements account. And then the funding source is CRA funds. The city impact, it would be downtown. And the timeline for the project, as told to us by by Garland, that the lead time to mobilize after receipt of contract purchase order from the city would be approximately 8 weeks, and the project would take approximately 12 weeks once it has started. Staff is recommending that the CRA board approve the attached resolution authorizing the executive director to have the roof replaced at the old Edison building located at 204, 220, 230 Chrome Avenue by Garland DBS for a total cost of $784,801. This authorization will also allow the executive director to allocate an additional $78,480 or 10% for any unforeseen conditions and changes required during permitting.
Okay, thank you. Any initial questions or comments from the board? All right. I want to say that in my agenda briefing, we had some conversation with the manager and his staff about this not being a local vendor and the price. And it was represented that clearly in this case, at least one local vendor declined to participate due to our procurement policy, specifically with respect to insurance requirements. And I, at that point, had the discussions with our manager about revisiting some of those to make them more appropriate. And I believe that the manager has the discretion to internally work with procurement and revise internally without further council action those insurance requirements so that going forward, local vendors, and perhaps some of the smaller vendors, businesses, will be able to compete for these items. So, in that regard, I would like, whatever posture this needs to be, either defer or reject this with some instruction to the manager to revise those policies and re-advertise this. I don't know that there's any real hurry. We're still in negotiation with the potential food hall vendor there. It will likely take months to develop their permits and get those, or their plans and get those permits issued. So I'd like us to consider, and I guess if the right terminology is reject this item, to allow the manager to revisit those policies and bid it with perhaps more advantageous terms to local business. Talking about almost $800,000 here that would stay in the local economy. So, Board Member Avila?
Thank you, Chair. It's no secret that I have been bringing to the dais my concerns about local businesses being able to compete on these contracts. As much as I don't want to delay the project and stop it from moving forward, this is the first time I think that we've had some real possibility of trying to get some changes to our process to improve, the ability for local vendors to participate. So I'm going to move to reject the item so that the manager can try to work some magic there. Thank you.
Mr. Manager?
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Yesterday, I had instructed the procurement director for the city to initiate moves to look into process improvements, policy changes, as well as the procurement regulations that concern bonding, insurance requirements, and create a scale where, based on the contract capacity of the item or development or even demolition work, we can have a graduated scaled bonding requirements. If the cost of a project is below a certain threshold, we can make the bonding requirements consistent with such costs, subject to being consistent with Florida statute and the procurement ordinance. So I will confirm that we would like to have this rejected and come back later with an improved policy change and, of course, a rebid.
Thank you, sir. So with that, I believe we have a motion to reject this item by Board Member Avila. We have a second from Board Member Cannonball. Any comments based upon on the motion at hand? All right. So if there are no public comments then, Ms. Sorrentino? This is on the roof for the 204 building.
Just what Dr. Z had mentioned, revising possibly the requirements for insurance. I just want to let you know, I had to get $1 million insurance in order to do a paint party at Dickinson Community Center. I promise I won't hurt anyone with a paintbrush. Thank you.
Thank you. That's another really practical example of where we are. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. I think we're supposed to have a roll call on that, Madam Clerk.
Board Member Davis?
Yes.
Board Member Cannonball? Board Member Roth?
Yes.
Board Member Avila? Vice Chairman Fletcher?
Yes.
Chairman Losner?
Yes.
The
Yes to
motion
reject.
carries.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Manager. Next item, tab 3, Mr. Attorney.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Tab 3 is a resolution of the Community Redevelopment Agency Board of the City of Homestead, Florida, approving the professional services agreement by and between the city and BG Group, LLC, for structural demolition services, providing for implementation and providing for an effective date.
Ms. Driver.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The CRA recently purchased a multifamily apartment building that will be demolished in the land use for the Triangle Project. An expedited demolition award is needed because the now vacant building has been experiencing trespass and vagrancy issues. The city code provides authority for the City of Homestead to select and contract through the use of the competitive bid process of another government entity as an exception to the otherwise required formal bidding process. The fiscal impact for this project is $77,831.55, And staff is recommending that the CRA Board approve the attached resolution authorizing the Executive Director or his designee to enter into an agreement with the BG Group for structural demolition services of the CRA-owned building 419 Southwest Second Avenue in the amount of $77,841.55. This authorization will also allow the Executive Director to accept an increase of up to 10% if necessary due to unforeseen conditions.
Thank you, Ms. Driver. So, along the lines of the last discussion, do we have any indication that local vendors chose not to participate or couldn't meet the bonding or insurance requirements?
This was a piggyback, so this wasn't the cooperative agreement. So the group that we're going with is a piggyback.
Good, thank you. All right, questions from the board? Comments? We have a motion. Moved by Board Member Avila, second by Vice Chairman Fletcher. No further public comment. I'll call the roll, Madam Clerk, to approve.
Board Member Roth?
Yes.
Board Member Cannavale? Board Member Avila? Board Member Davis?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Fletcher?
Yes.
Chairman Losner?
Yes.
The motion carries.
All right. Very good. Anything further, Ms. Driver?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I did want to announce that we celebrated the Cozy Greens ribbon cutting on this past Sunday. Thank you to you, Mr. Chair, and Mr. Manager for coming out and joining that. Very excited about this new business opening up, and JP and Rochelle extend again their gratitude to the CRA Board for the business incentive grant to make that happen.
Thank you. That was going to be, on my quick comments today. It was just a wonderful event. Certainly didn't expect the level of morning time appetizers that we had. We got to try some new dishes. You have to go have the Haitian cornmeal porridge. It's a lot better than it sounds, trust me. It really is. A job well done. And, congratulations to JP and Rochelle and their entire family for that. Mr. Manager, anything further for the CRA?
None, Mr. Mayor.
Board members, anything further for the CRA? We have a motion to adjourn. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Any opposed? We will open the Committee of the Whole meeting momentarily. All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome. I'd like to call the City of Homestead Committee of the Whole meeting to order. Today is Tuesday, April 9th, 2024, and it is 5:30 p.m. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Cannavale? Councilwoman Avila? Councilman Davis?
Here.
Councilman Roth? Vice Mayor Fletcher?
Here.
Mayor Losner?
Here. All right, thank you all. We have before us the minutes of March 12th. Do we have a motion to approve those minutes? It's been moved by Councilwoman Avila, seconded by Councilman Cannavale. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Next item is tab 2, a motion to place car number 4230 on the council agenda, the temporary moratorium ordinance. Mr. Cordino.
Mayor, I can.
Okay.
So, if you recall, we had a moratorium workshop on March 7th. At that workshop, you all expressed to me desire to enact a temporary 12-month moratorium to cover new development, residential development, that would be a townhouse, cluster house, or multifamily development, anything that's not single-family, detached single-family, that is less than 7,500 square feet and over 6 units to the acre. So the draft ordinance before you this evening is really to sort of flesh out a little bit more detail with regards to the exemptions. I've categorized the moratorium, the imposition of moratorium, to cover that development for a temporary period for 12 months. And what I'm looking for direction from you all today is a little further input on the scope of the moratorium as it relates to exemptions. We talked about some of the initial exemptions in the workshop, but that you all needed to have some detail with respect to the pending applications that were in the pipeline before you all this evening to discuss adding to that list of exemptions. So in your packet, you have a map which has the pending applications, residential development applications throughout the city, as well as a list, chart that has the pending applications in the city. So staff's here to answer any questions that you may have. We can sort of go through this. You can choose to identify all of these projects which are in the pipeline as being exempt, or some of them. We can list them out by name, or we can do broad categories, such as, if a property has come in for development application, and the application is deemed complete, and they've paid all the relevant or applicable application fees by X date. We can use today if you want, or the effective date of the ordinance. And then that would cover some of this. We can do a couple of things. So I'm just looking for any input that you may have. I can certainly craft, if you give me your ideas, your thoughts, I can certainly craft that for first reading, and you can look at a more comprehensive list. But I just sort of wanted to get your intake, your policy direction tonight, so that I can craft the exemption list of the ordinance, and then also talk about scheduling this moving forward and what you all would like with respect to that.
So are there items that that have paid the fees and seem to be a complete application in addition to these items?
No.
So then, if we drew the line today, it would clearly be the enumerated exceptions going forward, such as for city-owned property, CRA property, and those other few enumerated exemptions, plus this map.
Right. And then, we can do that, and that takes care of the pending. But then we also have a category of applications that may have already received site plan approval, tentative plat approval, but they're off at the county getting tentative plat, or they haven't come back for final plat. So we can have a provision that talks about
Final plat approval?
any property that's submitted a completed development application to the city's Development Services Department and paid all the required fees prior to today, and that would cover, I mean, I could even to make it clear, it can even do a provision that says final plat applications or approvals for residential and or mixed-use development, because the mixed-use development that I'm thinking of is across the street from the hospital, where you all approved site
Right.
plan and T-plat. They haven't come back in for final plat. So this provision would say that you would process final plat applications provided such development has received site plan or T-plat approval prior to blank today.
Right.
So I can finesse that a little bit, provide those, and then you'll have those for second reading. And if you want to modify or change something, we can certainly do that. But that can give you a
Yeah, from where I sit, I think drawing the line today with those items that have already tacitly been approved, but for the ministerial action of approving the final plat, and these that are somewhere else in the process. I mean, we're all very clear on who's in, who's out. And I don't think there was ever any intention to stymie those, such as this list. They were already somewhere in the process. And for your example, that we're out in the county bureaucracy for final plat.
Okay, so we can do that. If there's no further comments on that, I can certainly draft that for first reading. But I want to talk to you about first reading. This has to go to the LPA. So depending on how fast you want to track this, I mean, you can certainly do it before next month's LPA and city council meeting if you wanted to do a special call meeting. We just have to keep in mind that this requires us to advertise this as though it were a zoning ordinance. So we need to do that 10 days prior to first reading. The LPA city council first reading, which means that publication has to run 10 days before, but then we have to back in, you have to get it to the news leader, I think at least a week before it runs for publication, right? So, so we can wait until second reading, until next month, regularly scheduled LPA council, or you could do a special call, and then I could work with staff to know exactly what that window looks like for a special call, and then coordinate with seeing what your availability is for that. Or we can try to figure it out tonight, what that window looks like, but.
Well, and I'd like us to continue to move. I mean, if we're drawing the line, the bright line as of today, it almost doesn't matter. Certainly, Development Services is going to have to disclose to somebody who may be living in the dark and walks up to the counter. But I would like to, if we need to, I would foresee that perhaps in the next 4 to 6 weeks, we're going to need to have special calls with respect to either charrette items, Old City Hall, Triangle property, whatever it may be. So, the draft ordinance that's in the package would, other than filling in a couple of items that we've clarified tonight,
Right.
could be ready to go 17 days from now. If you handed this to the news leader.
Well, it would just be advertised, the title, right? The title was what we would advertise along with a map that shows that it's citywide.
Sure. So, yeah, let's.
So you want to just wait until the regularly scheduled LPA city council for first reading, or you want to move it up and schedule a special call meeting? Because I think you're probably looking at the end, given that you have to back out the at least a week before for publication.
You're probably only talking about saving a couple of weeks. But again, if our bright line day is today, you're right, it really doesn't matter.
Right.
Nobody's going to run to the desk.
So
We're foreclosing the opportunity to run to the desk, so.
So the council meeting, it would be on the council meeting of May 22nd, but do we need a motion to declare the date for today? Do you need that motion?
Well, that's the direction.
Policy direction,
Yeah.
that's going to be the date. You all are free to change that date if you would like at first reading. But I think just the direction that you've given me tonight is enough for me to be able
To forward this with today's date built in.
to make some modifications and changes based on the exemption language, tweak it a little bit and provide it and move forward for first reading in at your regularly scheduled LPA city council meeting for first reading in May.
All right. Further questions, comments, concerns from council? So do we have a motion to forward it, subject to today being the bright line date, moved by Councilman Cannibal, seconded by Councilwoman Avila. All in favor? Any opposed? Very good. Thank you all. All right. Tab 3, motion to place car number 4208 on the council agenda, the underground task bid number 202419. You, Mr. Manager?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, council members, this item is to recommend an approval of the award of an ITB for electrical undergrounding to Oscar and Sun Electric, as well as RCS Power. Funding will be established within department budgets, and the two vendors will be given task on task basis as well as pricing. This item is to supplement the workforce of the electric utility for utility contractors to complete certain electrical infrastructure projects. The fiscal impact is in the amount of $982,000 for these two capital improvement vendor contracts. And this contract will be citywide and will be used on need basis. Now, this item is to improve reliability program for city infrastructure as well as hardening and resiliency.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council on this item? Have a motion to forward it? Moved by Councilman Davis, seconded by Councilman Cannaball. There's nothing further. All in favor? Any opposed? Next item, tab 4. This is a motion to place car number 4209 on the council agenda, ITB number 2024-08, the splash pad installation for James Archer Smith Park. Mr. Manager.
So this project is being funded by a grant from Florida Department of Environmental Protection, Land and Water Conservation in the amount of $200,000 with a match from city funds in the amount of $138,800. This project is already budgeted in CIP number 2032. We have a 60-day completion period, which is quite helpful, expecting completion before the summer season kicks in, and is located in District 1 of the city.
Good, thank you. Moved by Councilwoman Avila, seconded by Councilman Cannaball. Public comment. We'll close the public hearing. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Very good. Gosh, when did we first see this? A year and a half ago? And the next item on the agenda is tab 5, motion to place car number 4210 on the council agenda. The traffic control jurisdictional agreement with Baywinds Community Development District. Mr. Manager.
So this item would allow our PD, police department, the ability to enforce traffic laws in a community that would otherwise be unable to do so, since they are all private roads. The applicable traffic statute on the private roads within Bear Wings will be administered by us through the off-duty law enforcement officers, who will be paid current hourly rate of $55 per hour. It is pertinent to note that the item requires that all revenues from traffic citations issued by the city will be retained by the city. So there's no type of revenue sharing with the homeowners, with the CDD.
Okay, so it's moved by Councilwoman Avila, seconded by the Vice Mayor. My question, is this the same sort of agreement we have with Malibu and Waterstone? And I guess Keys Gate too, but yeah.
Okay. Yes, it's the same agreement we have with the Waterstone community as well, as far as just doing traffic only, no other activity outside of the traffic.
So is this, maybe you can tell me, or is this related to some kind of statutory prohibition against us writing civil violations on
Yes.
private roads absent an agreement?
Yes. In Chapter 316, there's a provision that provides jurisdiction for municipalities on their roads and to enforce traffic laws on private roads or those roads controlled or limited access roads controlled by a special district pursuant to an agreement. And the statute provides, the framework for what that agreement would look like. And, there are a couple of forms, and this is consistent with what we have.
Essentially, in the normal course of the normal patrolling, it gives our officers the ability, and it's separate and apart from the off-duty contracts that these CDDs and HOAs have. Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Anything further from council? Have any public comment? All right. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And finally, some fun stuff. Tab 6, car number 4220, semi-quincentennial, say that fast 5 times, logo, which is tab 6. And this is an outgrowth of a sunshine meeting that most of us attended several weeks ago, through our public information officer, we have been presented with 3 logo options to perhaps choose from to utilize as our official city logo as we move forward to recognize and celebrate the 200th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence of the United States. What's that? I said 250. Didn't I say 250? 250 years. Some of us were around and can remember the 200th. Bicentennial is a lot easier to say than semi-quincentennial. That's for certain. And of course, all of these pick up some of the comments we had, that it be somewhat evocative of the city seal and pick up those elements. And I'll go ahead and throw it out there. I'm partial to option B. The other 2 are really nice, but to me, they're too close to being a city seal versus a logo. The 250 really stands out, that we're celebrating, and certainly that's, if we're going to go with one of these, option B is where my sympathies lie. Vice Mayor, the board would be? Gotcha. Councilwoman, you would be?
I like the flag. I'll tell you why I like B. The flag, I like the epic fireworks, which is indicative of our fireworks show, which many people all across South Florida come to see. And I like the modern look in general. So for something that we want to make unique for the city, that's why I like option B.
Well, thank you. And the fireworks were my idea, right,
Yeah.
Camille? Yeah.
The fireworks were yours?
Fireworks were my idea. They weren't in the first draft.
And of course, I love the
And
tractor
and
the
again,
jet, too.
the differentiation between a seal and a logo kind of thing.
My only,
Yes, Councilman?
my only thought is, there are other homesteads throughout the country, and if somebody picks this up, how do I identify it as our homestead? Well, I like option B, so, but I just think we need to make it more personal to the city of Homestead, Florida, somehow.
Somehow, perhaps send it back to the designer and see where we can fit Florida in, where it's not too cluttered.
Is there anything specific that you're looking for to see as far as a representation of Florida?
Outline of the state.
Or how about
Or
where
just the word Florida.
or just the word?
Homestead, Florida
Okay, just not,
celebrates.
okay.
I just
absolutely.
think that the other 2 have it, that one says City of Homestead, they both say City of Homestead, this just says Homestead. And I know where Homestead is in Florida, but there are other homesteads throughout the country, and I think part of the reason we went through this exercise was to be out in front of everybody, and they could easily pick this up and use it as their logo because it's not personal to our city. That's my only thought on that, but I do like B as well.
We can have that added.
And, I think I heard about some comments that, and I don't know, because, the frustrated artist thing, the palm tree, I don't know. I like the firework, it maybe, work with it with maybe a silhouette of the state put in somewhere that denotes Florida, or, maybe Florida centered above homesteads. I don't, whatever the graphic
And this is
people
all
think.
for option B, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So are we all in consensus to forward option B with some potential tweaks to denote Florida if it,
Absolutely.
we'll come back and look at it, maybe we decide it's just not,
Yeah, well, I'll try to get some of these changes done and then hopefully be ready for the council meeting or maybe the next May COW.
and then perhaps, and I know there was some budget, for the design of this. Remember, we had talked about doing flags, banners of varying sizes depending upon the intensity of the street, decal, whatever it may be for every city vehicle to locate appropriately on a city vehicle, really start to spread this. And and roll it out at the 4th of July celebration this year. And even the big enchilada, maybe a water tower or two.
Yeah, we can
All right, so
definitely,
I think- yes.
we'll conduct the unveiling
Yeah.
at the 4th of July, and then these additional items
Yeah.
may have to wait for the next fiscal year, depending upon budget, but we're definitely already considering those costs.
All right, so if we can get this adopted, and if, if the tweaking is possible without ruining the look, we'll go from there. Thank you all. So you've got your consensus for option B.
Thank you.
Yes. Ms. Sorrentino?
I think B looks great, but if you look at the logo right behind you where the tractor is red, it really looks beautiful, and I would like to see it red up there too. Thank you.
Well, it's on the black tractor's on the red stripe on this one. I don't know, maybe they can, outline it or something, yeah. That's those artistic tweaking there. And look, all of these have come a long way from the first time Camilla and I looked at them, just the brainstorming, but okay, we'll go from there. Very good. All right. Next item is tab 6, car number 4154, the Seminole Theater Wall Mural. Mr. Manager.
Staff recommends that the attached resolution authorizing the manager to enter into an agreement with two vendors, Kenny Maguire for the rear wall and AJ Davis for the north wall, for the design, fabrication, and installation of two public art-funded murals on Seminole Theater building. The city has allocated up to $300,000 in public art funds for the commission, and the funding source is the public art program funds. There will be a 2-year maintenance period, and the timeline for completion of the work is going to be 8 weeks.
Again, this is just an implementation of the two artist concepts that we adopted a couple of months ago. Now, however, we recently approved, I guess, a waterproofing of those walls. Do we have a time frame on that so that we know when these artists can come do their magic?
The scope of work is currently in procurement, waiting to go out to bid. So once that's completed, I'll be able to give you a better answer. Unfortunately, I don't have that information tonight.
So likely months.
It'll be out for at least 30 days due to
All right.
the threshold.
Well, I know we've got overhauls going in procurement, so I'll look for an expedited timeline there. We don't want these artists to get away and get busy. Well, do you have your computer on? Right, okay, so that one on the sidewall, and then that on the wall that overlooks the park is what we chose a couple of months ago. That's exciting. Very good. All right, so do you need a formal vote on that?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so do we have a motion to forward that item? Moved by Councilman Abel, second by Councilman Cannonball. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. Mr. Manager, anything further?
Mr. Mayor, there are no further items.
Mr. Attorney?
If I may, I'd like to request 2 executive sessions. One, the matter of Bowens v. City of Homestead, case number 23-004174 in Miami-Dade County Circuit Court. And in the matter of Murgis and Coronado v. City of Homestead, case number 22-016828, also in Miami-Dade County Circuit Court. Thank you.
Make it happen. Okay. Anything further? Anything further from staff? Council?
Thank you. I just
Councilwoman.
wanted to say thank you to staff for their help with the Kiwanis Good Friday Prayer Breakfast that happened not too long ago, and to Mayor and Council for your continued support. That was the 49th year. Next year will be the 50th year, and we hope that it'll stick around for another 50 more with this continued support. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Councilwoman. Very lovely event. Look forward to it. Council, anything further? Motion to adjourn? So moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Thank you all. Meeting adjourned. Thank you for being here and good night.